My name is Simon Peter Green, and I'm a photographer. I'm interested in representation, social documentary, cultural documentary, blah, blah, blah. I was embedded with a team that was studying DJ Beatmatching, which is a fantastic subject to study because not a lot of academic work has actually been done around DJ culture, so that was fresh. But I'm also a DJ, I have been a DJ, I've worked in the music industry, so this was a natural fit for me. So what I've tried to do is represent, I deconstructed the project in a way, and I deconstructed their work and rebuilt some of the elements. So it's like the way I see it is I've represented the key elements of the project, and actually I've added a little bit of spice in to complete the picture. Yeah, when I first met the team, I was absolutely overwhelmed. I mean, they're speaking academic ways. I was with a professor of maths, I'm with a professor of music, I'm with an associate professor of data, or, blah. Anyway, don't even understand the titles. And when they're talking about the project, it's like, oh my God. And I must admit, at the beginning, I kind of felt that maybe I'd bitten off more than I could possibly chew, because I just didn't know where I was going to start. I just felt so overwhelmed. I went back to reflect on it, and I thought, right, I must look to my practice, my normal practice, and try and make a beginning. And then if I make a beginning, maybe this will lead on to other things. So that's what I did. I decided to try and represent the music. So the first thing I did was try to visually represent the music by deconstructing the tunes. Each tune, they made 2 tunes for the experiment, tune A and tune B, and it was like a kick drum, a snare, a hi-hat, a tom, or whatever. I singled out each instrument and caught a 1/10 of a second of each sound. And the way I did that, I played a laser onto a loudspeaker, onto a mirror, and it made a reflection. And the reflection on the wall, they're about this big. I took a photo of that. There was a lot of experimentation with colors and size and shape and all of that. I did discover a few things, like, for example, a green laser is about 10 times stronger than a red laser, blah, blah, blah. I did a lot of development to try and get a sweet spot that looked like an authentic representation of the sound in an interesting visual way. So there's a conflict between the visual beauty and the actual science. There's a tension there, but hey, I caught what I thought was a sweet spot. So I started there, and actually the pictures came out quite nice. I took them back to the team. That's another thing, because normally I'm a socially engaged artist. So it's not for me to give the team my version of their work. For a start, I didn't even understand it. So I was very particular and very careful about forcing a negotiation between me and the team so that we were kind of on the same wavelength. And I was not misrepresenting their work or dominating the work with my own personality. It wasn't about me, it was about the work. So there was a negotiation. So for that reason, I constantly taking the work back to the team to show and tell and explain. And actually, they were really cool with it, because they were kind of like, you're the artist, why are you asking us? Yeah, misrepresenting the work. So it's very important to me that I constantly fed back to the group about the ideas, the direction I was going in. And they always said stuff like, Simon, that's fine, that's great, what you're stressing about. It's fine by us. And in fact, they're like, like I said earlier about, you're the artist, why are you even asking us? It's your role is to, anyway. So the negotiation was kind of important and central. So when they saw the figures of the music, they're like, oh wow. And it's like, it kind of looked to me like like Chinese characters. Each instrument sound had its own representation in a kind of language way. So, it's like it did the job. I've grown to love them, and other people that see them are kind of moved by them. So good start. So that led to another representation. I mean, for example, I wanted to represent the team. As academics, they like to be in the ivory tower and backstage. I do as well as an artist, but hey, the people that did the work have to be represented. So there was a long and difficult negotiation. When I first proposed it, I would like to do portraits. They're like, no, because they're used to corporate portraits from the universities, white background, cheesy smile. I saw some of them, it's a disaster. So it's like, I did a lot of research on trying to figure out how I could represent the team in a dignified and appropriate way. We talked about dress, lighting, blah, blah, blah. I did a lot of experiments and a lot of kind of preparation. And a lot of that was to do with calming the team down. It's like, we'll do this together. So when we did the portrait session, they were like, wow, these are fantastic. Can I use this for my profile at work and all of this? So it's like, yeah, job done. I don't know, there's so many examples. One, I wanted to represent clubbing. How do you do that? So I sat down and thought, what would be an iconic representation of a club? That's what DJ culture is about, a drive in the club. So I come up with Mirrorball because I love Mirrorball and everybody associate Mirrorball with a club environment. Then I'm looking at round Mirrorballs and I'm like, it's not, I love a Mirrorball, but it's not kind of got it. It's like, well, maybe I can make an icon that represent the project and the club. So the idea of representing the music and the visuals, so this become a camera and a speaker, and there I had to make it. There was, I couldn't buy an off-the-shelf camera Mirrorball, so I had to make one. I got all the mirror tiles, stuck them on, blah, blah, blah. So that was another one. I represented the tools because the tools are an important part of the research. What is the equipment that's doing the work? And also I've got the hands of the people using it in the image. So it's like these are the tools that make the work, the research, and so on. These are the elements that I kind of introduced in a way that I tried to get the idea that it was important to not forget the idea that the science is very powerful and interesting, of course, but what is the point of DJs? It's to drive a dance floor. So I tried to introduce some of the social and cultural elements. So I had a representation of a DJ working, and I had a representation, the final piece of the puzzle, if you like, is a dancer. So Emmeline came and posed to be a dancer on the dance floor. So for me, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle add up to the work that they were doing. It's, representation. Well, like I said at the beginning, I felt like an imposter because I didn't understand the language. It was like I was on a different planet. It was just really overwhelming. But as I started to contribute, actually, what I was taken aback by, they felt, because of my experience in music and my experience as a DJ and blah, 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 and all of that, my life experience, I brought that to the project. So I was able to contribute. And very soon it became clear to me that they considered me to be an equal in the team. So I love team. I'm an ex-firefighter. I totally believe in team. And once we had this kind of, we kind of gelled as a team and we all accepted each other's contribution, it really started to get powerful because they adopted some of my ideas. They asked me questions about when they were in difficulties or whatever. So I was able to make contributions to the research, which I didn't expect that to happen. So it was fantastic. I mean, we've built some great friendships, powerful friendships. One of the things I'm kind of quite down about the end of it because I've been, as an artist, one of the key things as a photographer artist is to get access. I was invited into this environment and given a free rein and support from the organisation and the team and everything. And it's like, oh my God, this is such a rare opportunity and a valuable opportunity. So I kind of feel now we're at the end, I'm like, But we did an amazing event last week. One of the ways we engaged with the public was to produce an event, which was stunning. That's another subject, but that was a piece of art. The event was a piece of art. It was fantastic. But that kind of really gelled us as a team, and we kind of made an informal agreement, if you like, that there's no way we would allow this project to finish, that we're going to try and keep it going somehow. So it means applying for funding, applying for opportunity. You know, we've got speaking opportunities at seminars. There's going to be a paper. They're going to write a paper, but we're going to try and continue the work. Because actually, as an aside, and it's not for me to talk this way because I'm not the scientist, but backstage, there's a little bit of excitement because we're on the verge of quite a significant step forward in terms of relating the data and the information that's been captured into the synchronicity scene, if you like. There's a bit of a scene about synchronicity amongst the science community. And we think we're on a, well, I don't because I'm not a scientist, but I'm observing. We think we've made quite a significant step. So like that's to come in the future, and it may not work out that way, but you know, it's like, come on, this is going well. Okay, well that's a good one, and I think that's probably why I'm here, or the artists are here, is because it's this idea that the academics kind of live in their ivory towers. I know that's a cliche, but it's kind of true. And normally the way they would disseminate this information is by something like a seminar or a paper. We're doing all of that. But the art can be a way that an audience can relate and engage with the subject material, which is, you know, I have to say the project I've been working on is unbelievably complex. It's just crazy complex. And my aim is that an audience that might come and look at the work through osmosis would just capture a glimpse of the direction that the work's in. You know, photography is about narrative as far as I'm concerned as an artist. Photography is about building narrative. And to do that, you build layers. You build lots of layers, like a phyllo pastry. And my work is massively, you know, it's got so many layers. Not even I understand it now. I'm lost. But you may glimpse some of the complication by studying some of the layers. So you get a kind of impression. I want the audience to get an impression of the work, not to walk away with the full picture. This is impossible. And what we found at the event last week, which was very inspiring, and something I didn't actually expect, but we tried to present the work in an interesting and engaging way to an audience, and the same thing, by osmosis, they might get to feel the work a little bit. But what we didn't expect was the massive interest from the audience, who are quizzing us and asking questions on a very deep level, and it's like we kind of provoked, you know, we kind of sparked an interest. And they will go away, I know some of them will go away to look further. So that's the object of my work, is to provoke an interest and maybe hold an interest. And I like to think that afterwards, they may go on and look a bit deeper.